Hello, folks. We're back again, and we've just played the Lost Ruins of Arnak, along with the first expansion. Whose name?
The Expedition Leaders, I think, is the name of it. Is
it was the
yes,
okay, that is the name.
I
of
remembered, even though it's the first play of it. I did remember it.
I just picked up the other expansion, which shamed me into learning Expedition Leaders, and finally playing with that.
Shame.
So it's sort of a combo review. We'll talk about Lost Ruins of Arnak, which we've played a few times. Or I played it actually quite a few times, and Owen's done the solo at least once or twice.
Yeah, I've been saying this is kind of my shamefully kept on my shelf game. Like, it's one of those games that I want to play it. I've only played it a couple times solo before tonight, playing with 3 people. And it's one of those games that I've again just really been wanting to get out on the table again, and this has been a great opportunity to do so.
This was my first time playing with 3 people also. Like, I've played it quite a few times, but it's always one-on-one usually. And it's a great 2-player game. It's pretty fun solo.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's kind of a lot to pull out for a solo game. I'm kind of lazy that way. Like, if I'm going to solo, I like it to be kind of, a little bit simpler.
It also just really, just like most solo versions of a game too, it tends to just make the whole process a lot more complicated. I feel like this was really nice mentally to deal with having multiple people instead of just trying to figure out how the solo Automa opponent is working with you and having to work that and play against them. From what I remember of it, it's been a while since I played it solo, but playing it solo was I remember it being a lot more mentally taxing than this was.
So Lost Ruins of Arnak is an adventure game. It's kind of in the vein of Tomb Raider, or perhaps even more so to Indiana Jones, and that sort of flavor of adventure. And on one side of the board, you're exploring new places and battling with monsters that are protecting these sacred sites, and the other side's doing research, trying to figure out their way into the temple. It ends up being worker placement, resource management,
deck building too.
Deck building, Euro sort of style game with big chunky Indiana Jones looking meeples.
Yeah. It's funny. We were talking about the resources on this game, and you've got half of them are really kind of deluxe that just come with the base set of the game, and then the other half are cardboard with these I don't know. I wasn't really into the old school board gaming from the 80s and beforehand, but from what I've always heard, it always had these these big chunky fat meeple characters, so they're kind of goofy, but it's a good mix of stuff.
It's funny. It's a retail game. I think what I like the least are the meeples for the exploration tokens. You got the little hourglass, which is just a teardrop kind of shape, or a spyglass. What do you call that? Magnifying glass.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, magnifying glass.
That old thing.
And a book. Kind of I get them thematically, but it's just ends up being like a teardrop in a square with some stickers on it and stuff.
Yeah, they're functional enough. I guess it's better than if they didn't have a picture on them. At least they come with a little something, little decal. I don't even think you had to. Did you have to put them on yourself?
I think I did.
Yeah. So whatever. I mean, people will deluxify this game. They'll get the metal coins. They'll get the these little special actual compasses, these little mini compasses to play for the exploration tokens, and then they'll get 3D printed little magnifying glasses and the books. But I mean, whatever.
That's cool if you want to do all that.
Yeah.
My recommendation: get a insert that holds the first the base game and the first expansion. I don't think there's one. I don't know if they've made one. I don't know how you could fit more stuff in the box.
I don't think you could. Yeah, I've got the base game with my insert that I printed, and then with this Expedition Leaders expansion, which again, shamefully, I've never even played my own. I've had it for a long time. Yeah, and it just barely fits in there. I think it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it fits all in without any lid lift, but it's crammed. I remember it's pretty packed, but it also has room for the print and play like campaign. There's like a solo campaign that they officially have a print and play for. Which I'd really like to just have. I don't like print and play. I'm not one of those people that likes to print and have these crappy homemade components to use like for cards and stuff. But whatever. Anyways, digressing here.
Stuff like this, like this little framework that holds all of the exploration things and the monsters, and these that you basically just pull the lid off and put them down on the board and it's deployed.
Great.
It makes the setup and teardown so much simpler, especially when you got like little stacks of tokens and stuff.
Yeah.
So these tokens at the top all fit into a frame. I actually made a video. The only video I've made on Arnak so far was about an insert that I bought off Etsy. It's just kind of cheaply 3D printed, but boy, has it made such a difference. And
it looks nice too. Like these, he's actually got, well, whatever. You can go back
like
and
crates
watch
and stuff.
Yeah, you can go back and watch that video. I won't get into that too much, but yeah, it actually looks like little wooden crates and stuff. So that's a nice touch.
That to me is far more important than like upgrading these coins and these compasses.
Yeah.
I especially don't understand they're selling like bags
cool.
of like full compasses, like they're real, those little miniature compasses.
They actually have a north face, like a magnetic north facing thing.
Like a plastic token that looked like a compass that actually would make more sense to me.
If you get, if you're on an airplane and your airplane goes down and you happen to have Arnak with you, you're going to wish you had all those little compasses so you can keep track
Each of you take one of these.
Yeah, here.
Thank me for the Etsy purchase. Now bring them all back so we can play later today.
We just happen to have 30 survivors on this island. I want to make sure everybody has a compass so we can know where we're at.
If I thought I was trapped on a desert island, there's no way I would get anybody a component of my board game. I could solo this. I don't need any of you guys.
Yeah. Leave me to my cave and my Arnak game. I'm going to master this.
That one guy just sits back there in his tent and he goes and fishes at night and plays Arnak all day.
Yeah, that's all he does. And somehow he's the only one surviving. I don't know why.
So I've learned.
low expenditure of energy.
So this was both of our first times playing with the expedition leaders, and I got the Falconer. And which one did you do?
The Mystic.
The Mystic.
Yeah. Yeah, old Ganji. Yeah, he's really cool. These, like we were just talking right after the game, I don't think I'd want to play this game again without having these. These guys are so fun to play with. They all have very unique asymmetrical abilities that they can throw down. And, I mean, they're pretty equal, I think, as far as what I was seeing going on the board. Like, our friend Justin that we were playing with, he had a character that could he only had one worker meeple, and this is a very limited game. You only have 2 workers that you're placing out at any time, but his allowed him to reposition his character around pretty often without I think he gets one for free and another one he has to pay, so he gets to take more options with that one meeple than we do with our 2, so that's pretty cool. Except that you have to pay. You always have to pay the exploration costs. So I mean, there's a little give and take with that. But that's really neat.
The explorer.
Yeah. So and then my character.
She's got a backpack.
Yeah.
Backpack.
Yeah. It's basically Dora on her own. Dorina. I don't know what they call it. I guess these guys don't actually have names. You can name them whatever you want to. As the Mystic, my character just gained a ton of fear cards all the time. Every time he starts his turn, he gets a fear card in his hand. So those fear cards are -1 points, but he utilizes his fear cards and can do some really powerful abilities with those fear cards. And he has a lot of options too to get rid of them throughout the game. Just like any game, you can find ways to exile your cards, but his actually go into a usable pile where he can do a special ritual and gain artifacts and things from it. So that was really fun. And Sean even said this is one of the more complicated characters, but I didn't feel like it was like too complicated to figure out. And I thought his mechanic was just really neat.
Yeah, there's a range of complexity across all the different characters and stuff, and some of them are definitely simpler than others. I think this falconer one's probably as simple as it gets. A falcon moves up. There's different things you can use to move it up, and then and as it does, you can take the rewards that you get from there. So it's pretty simple. And this lady moving around with her snacks.
Yeah.
She's got snacks so she can deposit snacks and move from one place to another.
So I feel like, because we were playing with these asymmetrical characters too, you were able to, we kind of all went with different things. I don't know if exactly like our point scoring like direction was purely based off of our character, but it seemed like we were always kind of like focused on different things, I thought.
Yeah. I think you kind of. This is a game where you're presented with very limited resources, and there's so many resources and different varied types of resources that you have to generate to move your stuff up on the side on this research part, which is where most of the points are, I think. Again, depending on your tactics and stuff that you take, because there's a couple of ways to get your points. But because you're always in that struggle to get things, it's always like, oh, I can do that and that and that, and that gets me that, and that moves me up a little bit. But then I got to go up again, and then you're just presented with that same type of puzzle over and over again.
Yeah, it is really neat, though, how it chains together, because you're super limited in the very beginning, and you think, like, man, it's so hard to get anything done, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get to draw a card and discard a card, do this, do that, and eventually, like, we had, at least a couple of the rounds where you're like, oh man, I'm like sitting here with so much stuff to do. I didn't even realize I was going to be able to do all these things, and so you're kind of puzzling that out. But
yeah, you can do all these free actions that kind of chain react off each other and give you more opportunities and stuff,
which is really fun. That's I think one of the selling points of this game is that you are finding ways to just like, it almost feels like an engine in a way, but I guess it's more of just a deck building component of it or something. But there's somewhat of like an engine-esque feel to like how you can do this thing to do that thing to do this, and like you're saying, chaining stuff together. So that's fun, and it feels really good when you can start like having these big long turns instead of just putting down 4 or 5 cards and being done.
Well, and the deck builder part of it's kind of interesting too, because there's not really very many rounds. You don't, in that last one, you're not really going to get, any cards you buy just kind of go in for points. Yeah. So in the beginning, you don't have any money to spend. Right. So there's really just a couple of rounds kind of in between where you can get more and more of those cards. So you really don't. They're very limited in their effectiveness.
Yeah. It's got that true Euro feel to it because of that, because it is so like, each one of your actions that you do and the timing of your actions, especially playing with multiple people, sometimes there's something like, I don't really want to do that right now, but I need to take that before somebody else does. And so that whole thing's going on. And man, it feels like that main point scoring track where you're going up that exploration into these temples or whatever, looking through these different hieroglyphs or whatever you're trying to do here. It feels like, man, this thing is just impossible to get up, and if I don't get up it, then I'm gonna lose. So you're just really having to work how that's gonna happen at the end of the game. But there's other point scoring. Sean, one of his biggest ones was just defeating monsters. I defeated 1, he defeated 4, worth 5 points each. So that's a pretty big boon to keep up with during the game. So that worked out well for him. But
the other thing that's offered in the expansions is alternate sides. The map itself, like the base game, comes with a snakehead side, which is the one we played. It's a little bit more advanced, and then like another side with a different temple. But those little side panels are also replaceable with the expansions. Both of them have alternate side panels with, again, 2 different sides. So there's a lot of options, and it really changes the pace and the kind of the flavor of the game, because you get different things, and different things happen all the way up.
Yeah, it's one of those games too where it's like it definitely benefits from having had a couple plays, and it's great to have those options to switch it up so that you don't get too stuck on thinking that you know how this game works, because I think it's kind of made in a way where you're supposed to just figure stuff out on the fly, and like you don't really know exactly what the best pathway is, from the beginning. But one of the things that I know, like I would have probably focused a little more heavily on another playthrough was like those exploration tokens. Makes it like that helps you so much to be able to do extra things. Yeah. Because if you can get all those compasses, it allows you to go to so many spots that chain reactions, because you're getting to also gain the benefit that the special extra benefits of those places, which tend to be a lot better than the original 5 camps that you get to go to in the beginning. But that's just another reason to play the game again.
Recently, they've come up with another expansion that I haven't played with at all. And I assume you haven't either. Did you buy this one?
I did not buy it yet. Yeah, no, that was again because I love to have everything in one box. So I've been a little hesitant to buy this because I know it's not going to fit in my big box.
I was a little hesitant to buy it too, because I hadn't even played with the expedition leaders and stuff. But now that we've played it and I'm not so scared of it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that for some reason reading the rules and stuff for it, it didn't really make sense till I got it down in front of me during end game. Yeah. And started really looking at the mechanics, and they're not bad. I mean, and each of them has its own cheat sheet, especially for that character. I didn't pick one up. There it is. Yeah. A cheat sheet especially for that character, as well as just the general iconography and stuff, which there is quite a bit of iconography if you look down the list of things. Mm-hmm. But it's all intuitive. There's nothing that's so cryptic and weird.
Yeah, once I looked, if I was like, well, what's this icon do? You look it up, and then like the rest of the game, you remember what it does. So that it does work pretty well. Like you said, pretty intuitive in that regard. Yeah.
But if you do decide to go, if you're one of those get it all kind of people, and you want to go for this one too, obviously I can't review it. I haven't really played it yet, but it's got more expedition leaders. 2 new temples, so it's like 4 different temples because they're double-sided. I think, maybe not.
2 new temples to explore, so maybe this is one double-sided.
I bet it is one double-sided one. Yeah. Thank you. And looks like more items and artifacts, and more different assistants and guardians, some more fresh monsters to fight, and it's got some sort of campaign with it that I think will be interesting to do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's been a really neat game to get into, and I think we're again both in agreement that if you have any serious interest in the game, or especially if you get an opportunity to play it and you want to pick it up, I think the expedition leaders are like you don't even have to think about it. It's definitely worth throwing into the game.
Yeah. Even if you don't play it with it at first, don't be scared with your first game of this. My first game was a solo game.
Yeah.
And it's got a real easy automa. It's just like a series of tiles that you turn over. Mm-hmm. But yeah, don't. It's fun without this stuff. But boy, once you've learned the game, this adds so much to it. I would kind of always want to play it this way, I think.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to just play the other leaders and see what all they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it does really just add some pretty powerful asymmetric abilities that does just make the game that much more interesting, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a winner. It's
definitely.
It's done really well on Board Game Geek and places like that. I was kind of late to the game, picking it up. I think everybody had played it twice before I even decided to get it. But
yeah, it's very pretty too, and I think in this like really Euro-esque game here, I think the theme comes through pretty well. Like you do feel like you're going on expeditions. You feel like you're gaining things from those expeditions to further your research and your I feel like that I did feel like an Indiana Jones character or something going through and getting all of these special precious artifacts and things like that, and then being able to utilize them to do some neat things.
Yeah, aesthetically the artwork is excellent.
Yeah, it works really well.
Yeah, I love the way all the characters look and stuff. It's real all really fascinating and stuff. And I love the way the monsters look. I'm a big monster fan too, and I really like all these little locations and all that stuff. Like the only thing that puts me off, I guess, is the meeples, but that's just that's just stuff, right?
They're a functional component.
That's true.
What you're using. That's about it. You could probably get. I'm sure there's. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen stickers for these. That some people will put a sticker on it.
There's sticker sets. There's a bunch of, I swap them out with adventure miniatures.
Yeah. I'm sure you could, especially because each character only uses 2 at a time. You could have, any whatever.
Well, 4 if you count the book and the other things. So I usually find like a scientist and a
right, yeah,
and something else.
Oh yeah, to do that kind of stuff.
To replace the
magnifying
glass. I'll put a scientist out there and I'll maybe leave the book or something.
But it works. It's all functional. It's better than just cubes. So I mean, there's that. But whatever.
And the boards are neat too. Like even just the back of the artwork of the board and the way it looks.
I guess one pro that you could say though about those big meeples is it does kind of make it a little more playful. I guess because. Like even with the Indiana Jones kind of theme, there's always kind of this like playful nature while he's going through all these dangerous situations. So I guess it kind of blends that into all this like more, somewhat more serious artwork that's going on. It's not too serious. It's really colorful, so that it's nice. It works.
It just screams adventure. Mm-hmm. It's a good immersive kind of look to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like the artwork on this. That's what first drew me in. Even the picture on the front of the box, and all the possibilities and stuff that come with exploring.
It almost looks like a game set for kids to me, like slightly in a way. Like it kind of has that like, oh, here, kid, go on an adventure, and like here's your action figure, and you can go run up the mountain and fight the Quetzalcoatl or something or whatever you want to, whatever you're going after. But I like it. It's neat.
Czech Games edition.
Czech Games. Yeah.
Czech Games. And what did I say? Czech.
I think it's Czech.
I think you're right. 2021. What does that say? Nominated Kinderspiel des Jahres.
Kiddeker Prix, maybe. Nominated
games on the list of nominations.
Kinderspiel des Jahres.
Okay. Yeah. So this was like for
some award in another country. It sounds German.
For the one that just happened. Yeah. What did they call that?
Well, they have the other
Essenspiel.
Yeah, there's another des Jahres.
There is?
I think it's different. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the same, but I think it means games, maybe. I don't know.
Spiel means games. Kinderspiel means kids' games, I think.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call this a kids' game, but...
I wouldn't either. This is kind of hard for kids.
Yeah, no, I definitely a little more complicated than your maybe 13 and up or something like that. But
what are the cons?
It says 12 and up on the side of this.
I'd say con-wise for me is the setup. It's kind of... Especially if before I had the things and stuff seemed like kind of a pain.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to pull out, and the shape of the board is long, like it's really long, and it kind of makes like it's a big table hog, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, mostly for the board itself as the biggest portion of it just being like all encompassing on your table, especially being super long like that means you're having to get up and reach a lot for it. Or if you have everybody sitting around the table, I guess you can have people hand you stuff.
It's a lot of people with a side view of it too, because the little dashboards and stuff this is a 4-foot table, and 2 up with just about enough room for 2 people.
Yeah. I mean, it's doable. It is like any other con. I mean, the only other con I would say is that like this, I wouldn't say this is like a definitely not an entry-level game. It's not something that you want to pull out for somebody that doesn't play board games, because it's a little complicated to find like some kind of a lane to go in or some kind of some direction. You're like, oh, this can do this, and then I need this icon to be able to go over here, and what I got, and how and what's this other track over here and all that. It's a little bit like it's confusing. Like that's what I really felt when I first got it out, was like it was really confusing to know what direction to go in. But I think that ends up becoming a pro, for the game as you play it and start to learn how it works.
So exploratory.
Yeah, yeah. You start to you have to develop a little bit of a relationship with the mechanics, and then you're like, oh, I like how quirky this is and how this, how these things tie together, and you start learning how they function together. But at first, you're like, how do arrowheads and tablets and these gems and exploration tokens and gold, and I use these for multiple different things on the board, and defeat a monster.
What do I do first?
Defeat a monster with a gold and an airplane, and I drop a card to do it. Like, okay, whatever. You just kind of go along with it, and then but it makes sense as you play it. You just basically having to be equipped for that particular monster, and that's what it's representing.
If you've got a lot of board game history, like if you played a few board games, or if you're just like super interested in it and you're up for the challenge, it's definitely not the most challenging game. It is definitely at that threshold above, like, I'm going to teach my mom how to play this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is like a family game to pull out, unless your family's just, a bunch of board gamers. But it's not the kind of game you bring over to a family get together and say, hey guys.
This isn't like a Thanksgiving Day kind of game.
No. Again, unless your family is into board games, and then they'll be super happy with it.
If you're playing Risk, maybe,
Yeah.
But it is fun. I think it's a good buy too. I got mine on sale, my initial one on sale. That's why I finally bought it a year after it came out.
Yeah, I probably did the same thing, and it's another one like I don't tend to always go with the herd just immediately, but if a game's getting a bunch of attention, and Arnak certainly did get quite a bit of accolades and attention, I will check it out, and it's usually always worth your time if it's something that has been getting praised a lot, and this seems to be one that does that.
I only heard good things about it. Like I don't recall anybody really saying anything negative, particularly negative about it. So it was a safe buy. Once I saw it go on sale, I grabbed it.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard any real negatives about this game. I haven't gone looking for them either, but
yeah, it's like
there's nothing truly negative that.
No,
that I think we have to say about it.
No, not. It's all superficial for me.
Yeah, we have to look for the things to
there's nothing that makes me like not want to play it.
Yeah.
Or the only thing kept keeping me from playing like with the expedition leaders is because I read a lot of rule books and I just kind of get tired. Like,
it's one more thing.
It's just another one. Just put it in the pile of things that I need to learn how to do. But once you decide, what, we're playing Arnak tonight, and we're gonna just pull out those other things and just do it.
Yeah, and that's the first thing I said when I finished playing the game. I was like, man, I want to play this again. So that's always a good sign. If you feel good, if you feel like you had fun after you play a game. That's usually always that means it's a good game, even if it's simple or if it's complicated. So
you'll find Owen an hour from now soloing this all night long
and spending 1 hour trying to figure out how I'm going to go up that that temple track. Sweating bullets.
I sold the arrowhead to get the diamond.
Sean handedly beat us in this last game, and he was making the easy turn. Like, he was just like, all right, I'm done. And I'm sitting here. The last 2 or 3 turns, I was really having to work out what I could do.
I Bobby Fishered that son of a bitch.
And he was just waiting. He was just, get done. You boys done yet? Yeah, but it was good, though. It felt good.
I like this game. This has just... is perfect for that kind of short attention span goal setting, which is definitely what I'm good for.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I was like, you get like one token away, and you got no way to make it. And so, best thing for me in that experience of this game, of this particular playthrough of it, was at the very end. going up that exploration track, I wanted to be able to do one extra thing, and I couldn't do it, and I completely missed something, like a worker placement that I messed up early on. And then I happened to get a little tile that flipped over from getting to the top of that track, and it gave me exactly what I needed to be able to make as efficient use of what I had as possible. And that, even losing that, I felt really good at the end. I was like, I don't even care what happens now. I just feel like that felt good. That felt great.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, so it's good.
And folks, that's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like reviews, if you like board game reviews from jokers like us, there's a whole bunch of them over here in this playlist. Over there's something the internet thinks you'll like. We'd love it if you subscribe and click like. We'd like to see you again. Enjoy your games, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.